Okay, what is up, everybody? What is up? I'm out here once again in the woods, and today's video, I want to be talking a little bit about what happens when you feel like you've lost yourself, and what can we do to get ourselves back to a place where we do feel like ourselves again. I think this is pretty common with getting older, and as I've mentioned before, as more and more external forces begin to play with your mind and play with your kind of initial framework, you stand more and more likelihood to change who you are. Whether that be through traumas, through experiences with drugs and alcohol, through near-death experiences, from social media, from movies, from really anything that's external to you, you stand the chance of losing a concept of self, or at least a relationship with self that feels authentic and feels aligned with actually who you are. As we go through traumas, as we move through life and we encounter situations that we're not prepared for, or handle situations poorly, or situations are thrust upon us that we didn't want to happen, there are layers of trauma that begin to build upon the initial core self. And with each layer that gets built on, there becomes a thicker barrier between the internal reality and the communication and behavior externally. Essentially, what it means is that you have an inner calling, an inner truth. That's thoughts, that's feelings, that's desires. And those thoughts, feelings, desires are being pushed down and stifled underneath layers and layers of traumatic goop. And the way I like to think of it is like some like literal goo, layers of goo, and the deep inside part of you is trying to communicate and behave and take control. And it has to move through these like layers of goo to get out. And most of it is getting caught and trapped in that sort of sticky webbing instead of actually coming out into fruition in your life. So if you're somebody who feels like there's a disconnect between who you are, what you feel, what you think, what you want, and your outside world, and how you relate to yourself and how you represent yourself in the world, it's likely that this is what's happened. You've gone through some experiences that have shaped you in some way that has created layers of bullshit inside of you. And that's what it is. It is bullshit. And this has disconnected you from your true self. It's disconnected you from your power. It's disconnected you from feeling grounded and authentic in the way that you move about in the world. And this can affect so much. It affects your relationships. It affects basically every element of your life. It affects your jobs. It affects how much money you make. It affects where you go and what you execute on. And it's very tragic. I think it's probably one of the most common things that people are dealing with in the world right now is this accumulation of bullshit. And the scary part about having a lot of bullshit inside of you that's between the real you and how you behave, act, express, etc. The real shame there is that the longer you live out this bullshit narrative, the longer you act on the bullshit that's inside of you, the greater the disconnect becomes between your core self, the truth inside of you, and your life and your expression and your relationships. You become farther and farther from yourself. And the more you act on this, the more it compounds. So it's really important to try and get to the root and start to dig away at the bullshit that's accumulated in order to allow the true self to shine through. The true self is like this radiant, beaming, in the moment type of energy. It kind of just expresses itself spontaneously. This is like life force energy. It's chi. It's the thing that animates you and animates the world. And the more that is flowing naturally, the more alive your life feels, the more alive you feel. And I've dealt with a big loss of this in my life. And I've gone in and out of being very free flowing and very connected to being very stifled, very deep beneath the bullshit, very disconnected from myself. And right now I am in the process of doing a lot of bullshit. So I know what it's like to be handling this. Here's the best things you can do. First, what you want to do, what I did, was I just made a list of all the things that whenever I felt like I was being my most self, I made a list of all of the behaviors I was engaged in. Those behaviors on a social level, on a health level, on a physical level, on an environmental level. Like, how was I managing my environment? How was I managing my relationships? How was I treating my body? Where was I going? What was I thinking about? And I made a list of all of those things. And what that did was it actually clarifies, okay, a list of all the things you were doing when you were your close core self. And if you really think about it, there will be a point where you know that you were being your best self or your core self. There's going to be glimpses of it across your history, no matter how far disconnected you feel right now. So think back to that. And now make a list of all the things you're doing right now. And when it comes to your relationships, your health, your physical health, your mental health, your job, etc., and find the gap. And once you've identified this gap, what you can do is start to narrow the gap. And typically this is behaviorally, but it's also mentally, right? Because as you shift one or the other, it's going to be easier and easier to actually move further and further in that direction. It's called building momentum. You're building an upward spiral for yourself. You have to first identify how far you've gone from your core self, and then you're going to take as many steps in that direction as possible every single day. And you're going to step away from all of the bullshit, mentally, environmentally, physically, emotionally. You're going to slowly step away from the bullshit, and that narrative will begin to unravel as you choose behaviors, as you choose actions, as you choose thoughts that represent this more aligned version of you. And it's not easy, but it is simple. It's actually a very simple process. So this should give you that hope. If you feel like it's hopeless, it's so easy to feel hopeless. Recognize that it's not hopeless at all. It's actually incredibly simple. Your core self never, ever, ever, ever goes away. Your core self is your core. It's the thing that's there no matter what. It's witnessing all of this going on. Anything that you've done that's been out of alignment with yourself has been witnessed by your core true self. It's the most undying part of you. And it's okay that you've gone astray from it, because you know what happens is we bury stuff on top of it, but it's always under there. And so what we're going to do is dig back into that. We're going to dig back down and let that wellspring of selfness come out again. Okay? So find the gap and just begin to incrementally close that gap. And what you'll find is when you get back to that, those behaviors are identified, you're probably going to feel like 80% yourself. And the other 10, 20%, when you're engaging in all those behaviors, when you're thinking right, when you're feeling pretty much like yourself, there'll be another 10, 5, 20% that is really much more nuanced. It's like spiritual. It's you truly honing in on your purpose in life and getting really intimate with yourself and unpacking years of trauma and damage. And that'll be like the last 15 or 20%. But you can make that 80% gap close in a matter of 3 to 6 months. I know because I've done it. And in 3 to 6 months, your entire mental structure will change, and your entire behavior pattern will change as well. It's very doable. And I just want you to know, like, if you're dealing with that mental strife, you're dealing with the sickness, you're dealing with this disconnect, it hurts your heart to think about how far you've gone from your core values and your core self. Just know that it is a choice. It's not gone. It's there. It's always there. And it's when you decide that it's time to get back to your core values that you will begin to move there. It's about taking as many little steps as possible. And that's what I've been doing. I've been slowly coming from a place, like right now I'm coming from a place of I was drinking alcohol all the time. I was eating horrible food. I put on like 40 pounds of fat last year. I stopped basically going outside. I stopped working out. I stopped writing and creating on social media. I stopped caring and reading books. I stopped planning out travel. I stopped seeing friends. That's where you go when you disconnect from yourself. It's the darkness. I've been there. I'm sure you've been there. And the darkness reveals parts of ourselves to us that are still unhealed. But at the same time, we don't want to stay there for very long. We want to recognize when the darkness is taking over a little too much, and then move back towards the light, move back towards our authentic selves. And I can thankfully say that part of this creation process is me going back to my best self, my real self, my authentic self. And when you're having a hard time, when you're having a hard day, it can be hard to remember that you are actually making progress in that direction. But today was a hard day, man. I did not want to do this video. I did not want to come outside. And I'm thankful that I did. And it didn't make all my problems go away, but I do feel happier knowing that I've come here, shared a little bit about my journey, shared a little bit about what's worked for me, and knowing that, hey man, it's one day at a time. And if there's one thing you can do, you can have a little bit of compassion for yourself and then have a little bit of love for yourself. The compassion comes when we're acting out of alignment or when we're struggling. That's compassion. The love comes when we don't want to do that thing, when we don't want to take the next step, but we care enough about ourselves that we're going to do it anyways. We're going to eat healthy. We're going to write that letter to ourselves or to somebody. We're going to save that money. We're going to do what we need to do to feel better, to live better. Get out of that short-term gratification, get into that long-term vision, and just approach yourself with tons and tons of care. Recognize that there is a core child inside of you that is afraid it's going to get abandoned. It's afraid that you're going to criticize it and judge it just like it was criticized and judged when it was growing up in real life, when you were growing up. So don't re-inflict that pain on that inner child. Approach yourself with a container of compassion. And when there's a lot of difficult emotions, recognize that that inner child is afraid, and you, as a now grown version of you, is able to actually look at your inner child and reassure it, reassuring that I'm not going to abandon you. I'm here for you. You're safe. There's nothing wrong. No matter what happens, we're in this together, and I've got you. Try that and see what happens. Recognize that, man, it's a beautiful life, and it's only for a little bit of time. So let's just try and live at our best while we can, knowing that we're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to fuck shit up along the way. That's what we do. We fuck shit up. Hell, we might even be a fucking cancer on this planet. Who knows? I don't think we are. But even if we were, we still got to know that, hey man, we're here to live. We're here to explore. We're here to destroy sometimes. But we're here to build shit too. We're here to build shit back up. We maybe destroy some things. We build some things back up. We fuck up. And then we make up. You know, kiss and make up. It's that Katy Perry song. We fight, we break up, we kiss, we make up. That's humans, man. Simple as that. So give yourself some compassion. Know you're a human. Give other people compassion. Know that they're human. Hold the container for yourself. Hold the boundaries for that inner child. Don't criticize yourself any more than you already have been criticized. And recognize that it is going to be okay. And that's it.